All right, man. Season just ended. Today is what, Wednesday the 7th, and so if you're like me, your team's out of the playoffs. Your season is done. You're looking forward to draft season, um, but I can't get myself to start on a new wave of draft prospects until I talk about the one we just had. All right, and do a little end of season recap. It's like therapy for me. I'm gonna post this. It's gonna be at 50 views. Doesn't matter. Love talking about the draft, anyways. All right. So I got a couple awards to give out. All right, a couple awards to give out in our draft recap. And we're going to start off on a good note. We're going to start off with who I thought had the best draft class of any NFL team in 2025, right? And this one was tough, man, because how do you decide what a good draft class is, right? Because usually on a bad team, your rookies will play more, right? Is it who has rookies that play more and have more stats? Is it who has rookies that contribute the most to winning, right? It's usually a mix of those two. And there was a bunch of good draft classes, man. The Giants with Abdul and Dart, and got a bunch of other guys in there too, Scadaboo, and the Browns. Browns had a bunch of good picks. They all played. I didn't think the quarterbacks really contributed to winning, and I don't think any of them are long-term answers. I liked Gabriel. I liked Shador in the pre-draft process, and they've both kind of been underwhelming. Frankly, other than Brady Cook, they've been two of the worst quarterbacks this year in terms of when you're looking at EPA and all that other analytical nerd stuff. So I think Browns, great draft class. Quarterback held him back. Seahawks had a really good draft. I thought the Saints had a very practical draft. They drafted a bunch of players like Jonas Sanker and Kelvin Banks, Tyler Shuck, that contributed to playing right away and played well and helped them win a couple games. But there's one team in particular. So the best draft class 2025, I'm going to say it's the Patriots, right? I mean, talking about Will Campbell. Will Campbell played well. Will Campbell looks like an answer at tackle long term. I don't think he had the most amazing season. Obviously, he got hurt. If you look at the analytics, he played well. His PFF grade was decent, but I think he'll continue to get better as well. Travion Henderson, I mean, came on late. If you watch that 3-touchdown game he had, I think it was against the Bills, right? Then, but say no more. Kyle Williams, really good receiver, won on some deep balls, had that nice touchdown against the Ravens. He was on a team, the Patriots don't have a dominant receiver, but they got a bunch of dudes with Booty and Diggs, and I just think it was really tough to get targets and catches in that offense. But I think Kyle Williams is a great player, and I think he's played very well this season. Jared Wilson's gotten some play time on the interior offensive line. It hasn't been perfect, but I still think he has some good potential going forward. Craig Woodson I think is an underrated steal in the draft, 4th round. Got him playing safety, and he can do a couple different things. I liked him coming out of Cal. But I think that the cherry on top, right? Joshua Farmer, Braden Swinson didn't play a ton. Neither did some of the late round guys. But Andres Borregales in the 6th round. I'm a Giants fan, right? And we, like many other teams, when you get on the kicking circus, right, on the kicking carousel, it's hard to get off. And to me, taking a 6th-round kicker, and he plays all the games, and he makes the majority of the kicks, and he helps you win games, that's a great selection to me. And so I think the Patriots had a very well-rounded draft of people who played right away, and they still have, some meat on the bone, some potential. But that was a really hard one to pick. All right, let's go to the negative side of things. Let's talk about who I thought had the worst draft class. And maybe you disagree, but this one is pretty easy for me. I thought the Bengals had probably the worst draft class of 2025. I mean, it's not necessarily Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight's fault, both linebackers from the Southeast, that they were tasked to do so much as rookies, but it wasn't good. And Shamar Stewart, I didn't love it pre-draft, right? Obviously, he murdered the combine. He's extremely athletic, tools, a bunch of potential. But I had a feeling he wasn't that refined. I thought it was going to take a little bit, and I knew when he wasn't reporting to training camp, and Hendrickson, there was the drama with that. I just don't think it was a good environment for a raw edge player, right? And when you're talking about draft classes, why they work out or why they don't, it's two parts. It's the players and the organization, right? I'm not saying that these guys on the Bengals aren't good players. I'm not saying that the Bengals can't develop any rookies, but the combination just didn't work, right? Dylan Fairchild, 3rd-round pick, playing guard. Thought he was solid. It's probably their best pick, right? Jalen Rivers just looked kind of slow and stuck in the mud at the Senior Bowl, but he is strong as heck. But, fifth round tackle, didn't play a ton. I really liked Taj Brooks in the sixth round. I think he would have played well if he got some more opportunity. Hard to take Chase Brown off the field, but for a team just so in need of defensive help, and they do draft 3 defensive players in the top 4 rounds, and I just don't think any of them played super well and contributed that much to winning. Look, watch the Bengals game against the Bears. It was a joke. But maybe those guys will get better in the future. Let's go on to more positive stuff. I want to talk about my personal. All right, and we'll get. Well, I guess it's all my personal picks. But what about my personal best evaluation? I'll be quick on the personal stuff. So best evaluation, there were some guys. I wrote down 3 guys before the draft: Emeka Mbuka, right? Tyler Warren, Gray Zabel. Those are my 3 locks all the time in the draft to hear about. These players have, the highest floor, and they're going to be good right away, and you can trust them. They're safe picks. And there's no such thing as a safe pick. But if there was, I trusted those 3 guys, and I think they all panned out. But that's not my pick for best draft evaluation because I think a lot of people felt very similarly. I'm going to go with my best draft eval. This is kind of random, but Jalen Travis out of Iowa State got picked by the Colts. Really like Jalen Travis pre-draft. Strong, athletic, coming out of Iowa State. And he played really well. He graded out very well on PFF. He was one of the best, 25 tackles in the league. I think a 3rd round pick, I believe, and that's kind of a steal. And I don't know, I liked him. I didn't, think any team should pick him in the 1st round, but I knew a team was going to get a steal out of him. So I'm proud of that evaluation. All right, let's go into my worst evaluation, and this one hurts. An honorable mention for this is probably Tet McMillan, Tetaroa for the Panthers. It's not that I didn't think Tetaroa was good, right? I obviously knew he had tools, and Panthers needed a receiver. I questioned the competitiveness and the intensity. But the thing is, when you're just watching on your laptop, watching game film or the broadcast, you don't know that stuff, right? So I underrated Tet McMillan, and he seems like a great competitor and has plenty of intensity, and so that was a miss by me. I wasn't super high on him, and I thought the Panthers reached for him, and he's probably going to win Offensive Player of the Year. So big miss. Also big miss. Worst draft evaluation: Jackson Dart. I thought Jackson Dart was good. I liked him, but I had him below players like Jalen Milroe. You could make an argument that Jackson Dart had the best rookie season of any quarterback. Obviously, Tyler Shuck played pretty well too. And the thing is, but the Dart thing was right in front of my face. I should have seen it. He made plays in the Senior Bowl. He was great at Ole Miss. I kind of bought into the Ole Miss doesn't prepare quarterbacks for the league kind of rhetoric, right? I fell for that a little bit. And the things I didn't see coming, I didn't know how competitive and tough he was. And the main thing is the precision and the awareness in the pocket, blew me away this season. And I kind of had Dart as maybe a low, late 1st round, early 2nd round pick, which, he was close to that. But I underestimated him. Should have had him ranked higher. Should have had him up there with Ward. And so to me, the cat just opened the door. To me, that's a miss. All right? So that's a bad draft eval on my part. It's the biggest bust, I think, of the draft. I got to stick with my theme of the Bengals, and I'm going to pick Shamar Stewart for that one. But we're going to move on. We're not going to spend too much time on negativity. The biggest steal, the biggest gem of the draft, I have some quick shout-out. Jonah Monheim from the Jaguars. He played center at USC. Great in the Senior Bowl. He's 6'4". He's a big guy, and I feel like people have been trying to get a little smaller and quicker and more agile at center, and he didn't really fit the mold of what here's the cat. Hey, cat. He didn't really fit the mold of what people are looking for nowadays in a center in the NFL. So that's why he got picked in the 7th round. And he didn't play a ton this season, but when he played, he looked good. And I think the Jaguars might have gotten themselves a legit center, interior lineman that can play for him in the future in the 7th round. So to me, that's a quick shout out as a steal. Honorable mention as a steal, Bill Krosky-Merritt from New Mexico and Arizona. And this is just an honorable mention because I think a lot of people saw this coming. I watched Bill Merritt at the Hula Bowl and at the Shrine Bowl, and I thought he's one of the best players on the field, and I loved him, and I thought he could be a steal. And all of a sudden, everybody's talking about Bill Merritt, and everybody's latched on to the fact that he's going to be really good. I don't know how his name got out there so much, honestly, but definitely an honorable mention for steal in the draft. But biggest gem steal, I'm going to go with Nick Emanwari from the Seahawks, second-round pick, I believe. I mean, he destroyed the combines, big, athletic. I mean, but the thing is, I didn't see it necessarily as a safety. Safety, you just have to be extremely agile. You got to flip the hips. I thought he occasionally struggled to tackle in space, but the Seahawks, man, did they coach him up. They found a spot for him, playing less safety and more of like a big nickel type of role, which is extremely important in today's NFL because offenses are going to go with heavy line. They're going to go with 3 tight ends and a receiver, and they're going to run it down your throat, and then they're going to play action it. So you need to have a player who can be like a linebacker and cover like a DB, which you probably hear all the time, right? But now you need that more than ever. And nickel cornerbacks have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, and all of a sudden teams, if you're going to start a nickel in your base formation, they're just going to run it. They're just going to run down the throat and beat you up. But Nick Emanwari was a great answer for that from the Seahawks. And I think it's really helped them in some of their wins against divisional opponents. And just a great job by Mike McDaniel. Mike McDonald, the Seahawks, coaching him up. I mean, kids had a great year. All right, I got a couple more for you. We're going to go with the More with Less Award. All right, More with Less Award is for a team who didn't have a ton of draft picks, right? Like the Patriots had a ton of picks. And so they really got their choice of who to get in the draft and had a lot of shots, right? I'm trying to find the full class so just I can give it to you, but it's the Atlanta Falcons, right? Atlanta Falcons, they only picked 5 people, right? They didn't have a pick in rounds 5 and 6. They didn't have a pick in round 2, but Jalen Walker and James Pierce especially, great year, probably the second best year for any rookie that was playing edge outside of Abdul Carter. I loved Xavier Watts pre-draft. I thought he had all the tools. I was surprised that he was picked so much later than Andrew Makuba was. Let's talk about a turnaround, a surprise. Billy Bowman. Billy Bowman's been good for the Falcons. I knew he was a ball hawk coming out of Oklahoma, but I saw some of the Senior Bowl 101s, and I just thought he struggled and didn't look like he could be a matchup problem against tight ends, and I thought he'd get picked on a little more, but he's played great and fast. I think he's one of those players that plays better when it's 11-on-11 football than when you're breaking down the components and you're doing one-on-ones and you're doing drills and things of that nature. So shout out to the Atlanta Falcons. Only 5 picks, and I think they had they just picked all defense. They got a tackle in the 7th, but they attacked safety and they attacked D-end, and they got good players. So shout out to them. The To Be Determined Award. It's a player who hasn't really played yet, but I think can be really good. Jalen Milroe. Big on him pre-draft, all the tools you want. He went to Seattle. They got him tucked away. The NFL's forgotten about him. I haven't forgotten. Jalen Milroe wins the TBD Award, to be determined in the future. All right. If you're still with me, 15 minutes of draft talk. All right, let's talk about the last award I'm giving out, and this is the best one. The best one. The Undrafted Free Agent Award, and I can't give it to one person. I'm too nice, right? Isaiah Bond probably had the biggest impact of any undrafted free agent, but I felt weird to pick him because he was only undrafted because he had some legal situation going on. I don't know all the details of that. I know it wasn't great, but he rebounded. I think he was proclaimed innocent. I don't know all the details, but played for Cleveland. I think he had about 350 yards receiving, and so it's probably the biggest statistical impact of any rookie. I'm also going to give the award 3 different people. We're going to break into thirds, all right? Well, Isaiah Bond wins it, but let's give honorable mention. Sean Dolak from the Rams, big splash on special teams. I knew he was going to be good coming out of Buffalo. I knew a team was going to get a steal on him. Him and Carson Bruner, that went to the Steelers, I think, in the 7th, were linebackers who I knew were going to get playing time and make an impact. And then finally, Danny Strigo. I think it's Strigow. I don't fully know how to say his name. Out of Minnesota. I saw him in the Hula Bowl. He was a good player, and he got picked. What team is he on? That's slipping my mind for a second. Is he on the Jaguars? Yeah, I think he's on the Jags, right? And he's had a decent year. He hasn't got a ton of playing time, but he's definitely made some tackles and some tackles for loss and made an impact with the Jaguars. And shout out to undrafted free agent. Here's the cat one last time. All right, thanks for listening to me talk about some draft stuff. And now I get to dive into this new class. Have a good day.